Alright, we're just doing a quick before shot before we get our quartz countertops from IKEA. And you can see, got this ugly 1990s or something granite, brown and black. I forgot what the official name is. If I remember, I'll put it in the description. I've already removed the backsplash, but we're gonna see how this works out. We've got a pretty long run here, over 10 feet. I believe it's about 13 feet long. So with the IKEA Quartz, we're gonna have a seam right there. We're gonna continue the splash, and this countertop, you can see the seam right there, is 1.5 inches. So each piece is 3/4 of an inch. So they added that little sandwich there. There's plywood underneath, and with the quartz you don't need support of the plywood, so they're going to be getting rid of that. The new countertop is 1.25 inches, so it's going to sit 1/4 inch lower than this, right on top of the cabinets. And therefore, if we added the same 6-inch splash, you're going to see all where the caulk removed the texturing, and so we decided to go with a 7-inch splash. So that'll get us a little bit beyond that original line. Easy way to keep it clean, and then we can recaulk, and if we have to, add a layer of touch-up in there. But we're also adding into the island here. We're going to add about 3 inches to length this, and quartz can be unsupported for a distance of 12 inches. So we're still going to be well within that 12-inch overhang with these corbels we got here, and we'll just reuse those. We'll keep them in place. And so I have a little bit of work to do with the tear out. I forgot how much they wanted to charge for the tear out, but it was significant for something that just requires some manual labor. It doesn't really require skilled labor. And so for things like that, I am definitely fond of doing some work myself. You know, that sweat equity, as they call it. So I'm just getting a quick before shot. So I'll take some stills here before we get the new, and we're going for nougat color, which is a white with some beige speckling, I think, with it. Seemed like a good choice for this cabinet color, this kind of medium brown cabinet color. So there you have it. All right, here we are with the demolition process. As you can see, you have to destroy the granite countertop just to get this plywood base off. Got a bunch of wood screws in here securing the plywood. So you can try that method of lifting and finding the screws to try and cut out screws, but it won't be pretty, that's for sure. I mean, this thing is sewn up here, quite a few screws. So I mean, I've taken out there, so I think trying to save the granite is not a worthwhile cause, as pretty little value. And right, here we are, partially through the demolition. You can see we had to destroy that chocolate black granite, and it was gluing on. Here we are, partially through the demolition. We had to destroy the granite just to get this plywood base off. You can see they've glued the 1.5 inch granite on top. The edge is 1.5 inches, but the interior on top of the plywood support is only 3/4 inch. Got wood screws securing the plywood all along the perimeter. There is absolutely no way to get this granite off without destroying it. I mean, you could try and squeeze that that thin trim cutter under here, but it's gonna be a painful ordeal trying to get at all these screws. So you can see where they have it glued. I'm not even gonna bother to take these pieces off. As long as I can get to the screws and unsecure this plywood, we could go ahead and install the quartz right on top of the cabinets. I put this wood dowel here so all the granite crumbs wouldn't get into the cabinets, and then I can take this little shop vac and vacuum out anything that collects on here, instead of it landing directly into the drawers, which a little bit of it has. Junk drawers here, that's easily vacuumable, but it's much less than you'd get if you left it open, which I found when I just started the process. So that's a brief look at that. The customary oil can, keep the work progressing. And I got the island stuff surrounding the stovetop, and then this little inset adjacent to the fridge. So let's get after it. Sorry for the additional noise. The wife is pressure washing out yonder. This is the process. So I get this little pry bar from Harbor Freight using the 20% off coupon. It came out to just over $3. And you just wedge this underneath. You gotta break this stuff, otherwise you can't get underneath. You gotta break it off, get the edge up a little bit. You can see there's the wood screws all along the perimeter here, corner. I assume there's another one at this corner. Pry that bar underneath there, hammer it in, and get this stuff up. It's not pretty. It is absolutely not pretty. Just give you a quick example. Sometimes I use it lengthwise, but I found that you get a lot more leverage using it vertically. You can see that popped off pretty easily, and that is the process. I got this big piece here. It's still slightly glued down, so I'm gonna have to pry it up. So as you can see, took the wood with it. No easy task, no pretty way. Just get it done. Get your beautiful quartz countertops. Like I said prior, the quartz is unsupported, so it's going to sit just 1/4 inch lower. And then we've accommodated for a taller splash, so we're going to rise above the original caulk line. I'll have to take this trim piece and cut it out a little bit, and bam, we'll attach the wall right there. We got a Ruvati sink, 60-40 split, and a low divide, pretty angular undermount. Gauge wise, we have to look at the spec. Here it is, 16 gauge, 1810 Ruvati model number. Still in progress here, but let's take a look. Seam looks pretty good. Got the splash a little bit higher to cover up the existing silicone mark from the previous backsplash. I think the light goes a little bit better with the medium brown cabinets versus that black and brown that we had. Here is our previous countertop surface. Forgot what they called this exact style. Black and brown. No.
¿Solo poder?
No lo vas a dejar mismo. Vamos a ver, suelta. Mucho. Menos.
Puta madre, 1,5. Medio pulgada, claro.
Okay, here's how the countertops came out from IKEA. They had 15% off, so we had to go for it. The edge is just a regular rectangular edge, and it's just eased on the corners and the edges. No upcharge for that eased edge, and it's we got a little bit tired of the bull nose. We had that in our previous home, so really liking the rectangular configuration there. So sink was a buy your own deal, so we bought one off of Amazon, and this beauty, Ruvati, it's about $300 on Amazon, and it's a pretty deep bowl. We got the 60 side and the 40 side, and then the low split. So I'll put some of the specs down in the comments and a link if you want to check that out. Really like comes with these baskets, so we opted not to use the garbage disposal because we wanted the branded sinks around there, or the little catch basin there. Comes with the racks. Really liking that. Of course, since it's new now, gotta wipe it down every time after washing dishes and things like that. We were able to use the existing faucet. It's got the pull out. Definitely need that. It's a Delta, and have dish soap on the one side, and we opted to, instead of doing the button for the garbage disposal, we did hand soap on the other. You got your little air gap for the dishwasher. Let's get a close-up of what this new gap looks like. So as you can see, there's some lighter, like opaque quartz, some darker kind of tans in there, lots of speckles. One interesting thing is if it lands on the edge, it actually looks like a piece of your counter is actually missing. You can see kind of here, it looks like that would be kind of like a chip or a pocket or something, but it's actually just kind of one of those more translucent pieces of glass there. So that's how that island looks, very shiny. We definitely needed to do this because we had a top mount before, and now the under mount, you could just sweep the crumbs straight into the sink and then empty that catch basin. So on this buffet side here is what they would call it. It's probably upwards of 13 foot long, so we did have to have a seam down here. So let's just check out what that seam looks like. And actually, if you could see it, it is right here. And it's not bad, I have to say. To the touch, you can feel it just a little bit here and there. But it with this pattern, it definitely disappears once you stand back a bit and you're not looking for it. I mean, totally won't notice it. And then the other countertop was a granite that was stacked on a piece of plywood. That was 1.5 inches thick. This one is 1.25 inches. It had a 6-inch splash, and so when we peeled that off, you have that caulk layer against the wall. So we went with the 7-inch splash, and just to bridge that gap, it sits over the top of the old caulk lines, and therefore you don't have to refinish your wall. The wall is very clean, as you can see. Got a couple of sweet potatoes there for later. Let me clean off this area over here, and I'll show you by the stovetop. Here we are next to the stovetop, and we opted not to change out the original full backsplash out here because it was a thicker product. They only used 1/2 of the laminate there on the granite, and it would have pushed our stove out. It would have complicated the gap behind the microwave. So we're planning on doing maybe a stainless steel backsplash over there, or painting it or something. We'll fill it in, we'll figure it out. So the thickness, this 1.25 inch, does provide a nice ledge if you need to stack up prescriptions or anything like that. Something you're gonna need in front of you like regularly. That's a nice maybe place to put it. Got kind of our little convenience stations got crammed in there with a bunch of junk right now, but it looks pretty good. And I don't know why the builder does this, but they put a piece of the backsplash against the cabinets, and so we had to put something back there. It's not ideal, but it's back in there, and it'll work for now. Let's take a step back and look at the whole thing together. So definitely with these medium brown cabinets, the black and brown granite was a little bit dark for this kitchen, and just look at how the white really plays with the medium brown. So overall, we are very happy with the work that IKEA had contracted. It was a local countertop outfit that does granite and quartz and stuff that came and did the confirmation of measurements and the install. So just under $5,000 for this kitchen. If I can find it somewhere, someday I'll put in the actual square footage of what we got installed. But overall, same configuration. We did add about 3 inches to this kitchen island, just to give us a little bit more surface to work with when we're having a get together with the family and whatnot. So really hope you guys liked the video. Oh, check this out. I don't know where we got this. I think my maybe sister-in-law got this, maybe from one of the free gifts at the Indian Gaming Casino. But this is a really cool rack. It rolls up and out of the way if you need it to. But it's actually got some like steel bars in there that make it really, really sturdy. It does have a nice little flex in it, but you can just set that over your counter, have a little bit of a drying rack on there. Maybe you have some dish towels you want to air out. If I find a link to that, I'll probably throw it in the description as well. So we had to buy the extra pump dispenser, but we got the matching one, and that was on Amazon as well. So good stuff. Overall, quite an improvement. Hopefully it definitely helps the appeal if we ever decide to, house hunt again and, jump to the next house. This will fit someone really well. But right now we get to enjoy it, and hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please click that like button. I'll see you guys in the next one.